What up, folks? Man, it's early for me. Already been dealing with the little bambino. It's I don't even know what time it is. 6:30, 6:40. John, welcome to the show, man. How are you doing? How are you feeling right now?
Mikey, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, man. I'm feeling good.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Ready
good,
to do
good,
this.
good. You look beautiful, by the way. I just want to let you
Thank
know. I
you.
like the hairdo. You're just a handsome human being, to be honest. Um, So let's start with me. We have tons of stuff coming up. We got ponds coming on the plague space. That is going to be a fascinating conversation. A lot of stuff working up, cooking with DSK Tyler, my boy Nautical. The 111, the district, they're just banging. JR in our conversation it spawned a really cool relationship. Going to be co-hosting a space with him this week. So get freaking excited. I'm excited about the future. Maddie and I will be gaming later on today as well. Ask us anything and let's do it. So before we get into the world famous midlife crisis question, we're going to introduce John. Now, John has an incredible background, and we're going to get deep into it, but just a couple high level things. He worked on Wall Street. Dude might know a thing or two about finances. He also worked for the financial district in London, and he gave this blew my mind. And this was one of the things that I remember when we talked, John, the first time. I was like, wow, that's going to be a story to figure out how he created the world's first SEC registered digital security. Yeah, he's the
Right.
man that did that. We talk about this stuff all the time. He's the one that first officially did it right and didn't just throw a contract address up on the internet hoping that he was going to get millions of dollars. And then finally, more of the interesting side. Dude's a family man. Dude has some kids. He loves to spend time with his kids. And that's what I admire most because I think that's why I do everything I do in life is because of the family. John, formally welcome to the show. Did I do you justice? Did I miss anything? Do you want to add anything? Because we'll get to the rest in the show.
Let's jump into it, man.
All right. Awesome.
Let's
So,
go.
with that being said, man, we're right into it. The world famous midlife crisis question. How did you get to the seat you're sitting in today? To reiterate, episode 1 is your childhood mindset. Why do you think the way you think today? Episode 2 is your professional career skill sets you gained to prep you for episode 3, which is that Web3 journey. Hit me, man. I cannot wait with episode 1. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. All right. So first of all, I'm French. I don't know if you can hear it.
I hear an accent for sure. You hear my accent, I hear your accent.
I do. I do. I grew up in Paris, a beautiful city. I had a great childhood. I cannot say that I missed anything during my childhood. Everything was great. Had a happy family. I have a brother and sister. And my father basically always told me, you have to study hard. You have to study hard. You have to get diplomas. You have to go to the university. He had big plans for me, basically. The funny thing about my father is he never did all those things himself, right? He came basically from Morocco. He was 18 to France, immigration wave, at the beginning of the 60s.
Yeah.
And it was just an entire new world from him. And he didn't have a chance to actually study anything. He did well for himself. But one thing that he wanted us to do first and foremost is to get to the university, to teach, to learn things, to learn new things, to learn a job, a proper job.
Yep.
And I think I would like to thank him for that. The funny part is when I turned 18, right, and I got my what you call in France baccalaureate. I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, right? So when you're 17, 18, you're still a young person. you basically you're not really sure about what's next for you and what you want to do. There are so many different type of jobs. I knew I didn't want to be a doctor. This I knew from the beginning. But I knew that I wanted to make money,
Right.
that's
Right.
this I knew for sure. So kind of the finance, path presented himself.
Yeah.
And I applied to a bunch of university in France, and I got
Okay,
a chance
hold
to.
on, John. Hold on, John. You are doing
I'm
an
with you.
amazing job already. I will promise you that. Most people don't even give me that much when they start and I ask about the childhood, but that was beautiful, man. I mean, to hear that uh you had what you thought was a normal, awesome upbringing, but the father thing, like that's the information that I love and I'm really interested in. And it's interesting to see what did he actually do for a living, right? He wanted you to do all of the college and university stuff, but what did he actually do?
It was in the kind of any kind of businesses. Anything he could do, he would do it. He did some real estate. He did some, you know, telephone, mobile stuff at the time where
Right.
it was new. He had some how do you call it, clothes shops. He was making, the clothes for brands.
So did he
Uh,
own these then? Like, was he doing the entrepreneur thing as well?
you know what? I never looked at it this way, but I think you're right. I think
Yeah.
he was kind of jumping from one another business because it was something that was interested for him. He
Yeah.
was also big in design. He ended up, designing some hotels all around
Yeah.
the world. So you see,
Yeah.
like, so
That's
so
see,
wide.
now that's fascinating to me because we just blew over this part. So, like, I think inherently seeing your dad do just so many different things, that I was like in, what am I saying? Subconsciously, it's kind of almost building this kind of entrepreneurship mindset. That's really interesting tidbit. But then on top of it, he's saying like, listen, man, you got to go to university, and so you can make money and have more of a stable thing.
Right.
But as we know, you kind of end up in the entrepreneurship world. So that like those are the little interesting tidbits that I'm just fascinated about. Um, when and why I do the childhood thing. Another question for you is, you said you had a really normal upbringing childhood, but your dad's already giving you some really interesting experiences. What I'm interested to hear from you is, did you play sports? Were you like obsessed with science? You said about making money when you were thinking about college, but like, did you like math? Like, what did that look like when you were younger?
Um, so we're still live, right? We're still
Yeah,
the
we're live unless you want me to mute,
No,
but
no, no.
yeah,
We're good. No, no. I
okay.
was just making
We're
sure
gonna be
the
live the
format.
whole time, man. Like I said,
That's good.
I'll
That's good.
screw it up more than you will even
All right.
imagine. So yeah,
All right.
and just
So
take a
let's go back
pause
to it.
if you need some time to think, man.
No, so listen. I was good at math, definitely. I actually ended up studying math for 4 years
Mm,
after at university, like
mhm.
applied mathematics,
Yeah,
things that are very, very hard. Okay.
right.
Um, and and to me, especially in France, there is this culture of when you're an engineer, there is like engineers in France are kind of the top of the top. And I guess for my father, it was important for him to say, my son
Mm,
did this and did that because he couldn't do it himself,
right,
in some
right,
ways. And
right.
you know, my my father had basically good money, but the funny part is he was very hard with us, with the kids. Like
Yeah.
he didn't give us. We never missed anything, right? But we were not spoiled at all. Like
Mm,
he didn't give us more than what he should have. I remember one time I was like started working for myself, and I mean I was in London, and I needed
yeah,
$5,000 just to furnish my apartment that I
yeah,
just rented, and it told me no. Basically, you deal with yourself, right? And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of staying in my mind. I was like, damn, I need to make it by myself, right? Don't count on
Hmm.
anybody. So I
Right.
don't know if it's the best way to educate your child, because it's obviously tough. But I think it helped me overall.
A
You know,
100%. And so that's interesting too, because I hear this a lot on the show, right? Like it ultimately comes out like it is right now that now looking back, you're like, they were kind of tough, but this produced a really, really good mentality and an amazing characteristic trait. I think my question to you is, and then we can start moving on to university because this is a fascinating conversation. How would you have wanted it different now looking back? More of a balance, knowing that at the time it kind of sucked, right? But at the same time, it produced a beautiful trait that you now possess. What are your thoughts there?
listen, I don't regret anything. I would not want anything to be different.
Yeah,
That's for sure. Because I think, ultimately, life is tough, right? And you have to be extremely, extremely resilient to be able to make it to the top. And nobody is going to give you any gift, basically, right? So you have to do it yourself. If you're an ambitious man, if you're willing to put the time, even if you start from nothing, from zero, but you're tough enough to go over the obstacles,
yeah,
then the sky is the limit.
yeah,
That's what I learned, because
yeah.
I never ever imagined all the things I've done so far in my life.
Right.
It was not planned at all.
Yep.
So if it's
That's
all
be-
about,
that's
yeah,
beautiful though, because it's funny. I had the opposite, right? My my mom had me when I was 19, when she was 19, not when I was 19. She was 19, right? They didn't have a ton of money, but she was struggling throughout, the time. So her way to deal with that was to paint the picture that the world was Disneyland, right? Like that is just reality, right? And so when life actually happened, it hit me really hard. But I think the positive trait that came from that is, and I mean this when I say I just genuinely love life and I genuinely love people, and it's a really, really cool trait to have. But the other things that you talked about that probably came a little more naturally to you were really difficult for me. So it's interesting to hear, but then we ultimately end up at the same path, right? Because I'm really into entrepreneurship. I don't like corporate America. I've made some decisions that most people probably would not have, but I've got there in a different way. So it's just really beautiful to hear you talk about these things and kind of reflect on them. One of the things that I'm just going to take a detour here because I think this is a really fascinating conversation. I just heard a clip from Gary Vee, and then my last podcast, he was a doctor, and we talked about there's actually science behind burnout. It causes depression, anxiety, and some people try to push through it, like you said, like you got to grind and work hard. But
yeah,
passion, he said, uh, creates less burnout, right? Because if you're doing something till 2 in the morning, but it doesn't feel like work and you genuinely believe in it,
yeah.
that burnout is minimal. What are your thoughts about uh, burnout, grinding, getting to the top, and what that takes versus having
Yeah.
passion and not chasing money? What are your thoughts there? Because you've been through the ringer.
So you're touching something inside me here. Um, so I think I had 2 burnouts in total. And I tell you how I went through it, basically. So basically, my first company was extremely like time consuming for me. And it was a time where I was, only 26, right?
Right. Right.
So at 26, you don't make any economy of yourself because you
Hmm.
think that you are at the top of the world, you're young, and there is no limit
Right.
to the work you can put into things.
Right.
Guess what? The reality is a little bit different. So even if you have all the passion for your product, for what you do, for what you learn every day, at the end of the day, you're still a human. And the human body has limits that you just need to be aware of. So, I was like, it's like a car, right? So you push the car, and then you get to the limit, right? And then basically you have to slow down a little because otherwise that you're just going to
Hmm.
overdrive, right?
Yep.
So it's about sometimes I'm just saying, like, to
Yeah.
people, like, sometimes be careful because your health at the end of the day is the most important thing that
Yeah.
that you have, and
Right.
you have to mitigate those risks because when you're an entrepreneur, it's not about
Uh,
tomorrow, it's about also long term, right? It's about the vision,
right. Right.
and it's about the path. The path is what
Yes.
you enjoy. It's not
Yes.
it's not really the end goal or the direction, because when you
Mhm.
get to the end, then you say, then what? Right? Like, what's
Yes.
next? So
Yes.
what you need to do is really to enjoy the path, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And you have to do it in good health with a good mind, and
Right.
and make
Right.
sure you don't overdrive on the way.
That's a It's beautiful. That was beautiful how you said that. It was, I can tell it really means something to you because I think, it's just a common trait that being an entrepreneur, everybody goes through. And there's a lot of people in the Web3 space and the people that we talk to. A lot of people dream about doing it, but they also don't realize like what it actually is. So for this topic, what I'm really interested in is as you have experienced a couple of them and you continue to be an entrepreneur, what are some things you put into place to keep the mind fresh, to keep the body healthy? What is that for you?
So basically, those days, I can tell you what I do in those days, which I was not necessarily doing before. Um, I'm going to the gym,
Yeah,
3-4 times a week.
right.
That's a way for me to disconnect my brain, which I never do. You're always thinking about stuff. It's always
Same.
connected. And when you go to the gym, just for 1 hour or 2 hours, your brain
Yeah,
just disconnects
right.
from anything,
Right.
and then you feel so good after. So I think this is extremely important,
Mhm.
for the balance.
Right.
The second thing is, um, obviously, spending time with your family, with your kids. I think
Mhm.
it's really important. You
Mhm.
do a lot of sacrifice when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, right? You're missing
Right.
some moments. You cannot be there all the time for them, um, but those moments just will never come back. Okay,
Right.
something that
Right.
is important to realize. So
Yeah.
you have to put the time with them because, listen, in 5 years, I got married, I built 2 companies, I got 3 kids in 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of a lot in itself.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, so,
What was that time period you just listed? A bajillion things happened in 5 years. Were you just in the mindset that, like, you had an end goal and you were gonna push through it because I'm assuming you sacrificed some sleep, having kids, you don't have anything, and it was what was that kept you through? Was it bettering the life for the family? Was it chasing the money? I'm really interested in what pushed you through.
so that's an interesting thing. So when I started, I told you I wanted to make money,
Right.
right? But then when I started doing entrepreneurship, money came second to the picture. Like, I just loved what I was doing on a daily basis, and I was committed like 100% to my
Mhm,
job, and the money came as a result of it.
mhm.
So it was not doing something for the money, but the money was just a consequence of things. And I think that's why I think I got successful in some ways, because some people that are just obsessed about money. Um, they don't see the big picture. They want rewards quick, right? They want instant gratification. And I always delay gratification in all the things I've
Mm,
done. My
mhm.
second company, I didn't get $1 for 7 months. You know what it is to not be paid for 7 months when you have two kids? Um, and all the things I've did are delayed gratification, and that paid off very, very well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the best advice to give,
No.
but I'm just saying money is just a consequence of the thing you do, but don't do it only for the money. It's not going to take you anywhere, in my
Right.
opinion.
Right. No, that's beautiful. I mean, you're just dropping beautiful, beautiful insight about life, and I think this is another thing I struggle with when I have these conversations. What are your thoughts on, so like for instance, that you took a massive risk. I think there's different ways people get from an entrepreneurship perspective successful. And I've had people on the show that said, "Listen, you got to basically burn the ships, Cortez the situation, and that's the only way you're going to be successful." I've had people that have said my hobby and my passion took me through, and it became something beautiful, and I had a balanced life. Right? Obviously, it was unbalanced at times, like grinding to get it started.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, it was a different path because it was about passion, and they weren't kind of like burning the ships. And in your mind to build a company to do what you've done, what mentality did you have about that? Were you burning the ships, or were you, like you said, not chasing the money and then enjoying the journey? What was that? What did that look like for you?
Um, well, I can tell you in detail. When I discovered blockchain and Bitcoin, it was in 2014.
Hmm.
And in 2014, Bitcoin was $5 billion market cap. Price
Hmm.
was $250. And then I started watching the just few videos that was available on YouTube about this new technology. We're talking about different days. There was no KYC, no taxes. Like it was unimaginable at the time.
Wild, right?
Yeah, when I look back, yeah. Um, thing is, when I started getting into this technology, I became passionate about it. Like
Mm,
I saw it. I saw things there that I said, okay, this thing is going to change the world. I don't know how. I don't know exactly, what's going to happen, but I want to take a bet. I want to take a bet on this, and I want to take a bet on myself. And what I did was just leave my job. I had a highly paid job in London. Everything was good for me. I decided to leave and say that's what I want to do in my life. And this is the kind of risk and opportunity that you need to take in life to be able to be successful.
mm,
And so to answer your question, the journey is driven by by this passion. and
mm,
and it was never you need to understand at the time it was not like, hey, I'm going to buy Bitcoin, I'm going to become rich. Okay, it was not that.
yeah,
It was really genuine about what you mean. Can I really send Bitcoin to anyone in the world with an internet connection? And I know he got the money in less than 10 minutes. Like, really? This thing actually exists?
yeah,
Peer to peer transfer without
yeah,
any intermediary. So
yeah,
that was kind of the first light bulb moment for me. And that
yeah.
drive me the entire way.
Right. And so, beautiful, man. Amazing conversation already. I told you we're going to hang out near a digital campfire and just become friends. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. So, I want to, before we get down into the crypto 2014, because I know you have a lot to talk about there. What I'm interested in is that from college up till what you just described,
Yeah.
experiences kind of more in the professional world. I think you might have, did you start one company before that 2014 time, or no? Did all the companies come from
No,
the okay.
no,
This is interesting to me, right? Because you haven't started the companies yet. You find this passion in 2014, but we have this gap between college and then, and you had, like you said, a professional job and stuff. What I'm interested in is skill sets learned there. Did you have any mentors, or were you just doing the grind and doing what you thought you should do? I'm interested in that time period.
sure. So basically, I had a master in financial engineering.
Uh-huh.
So it was really math applied to finance.
Mhm.
So to me, the kid dream was, all right, I'm going to become the Wolf of Wall Street. I'm going to go, become a trader, and I'm going to work for a bank, and
Yeah.
I'm going to make a lot of money. And this was kind of my objective at this
Uh-huh.
time.
Yeah.
Okay. Thankfully, then I got accepted into an MBA in France, one of the
Mhm.
best in France, actually. And after that, just for the story, I applied to a job offer on the bank website. Okay. Online bank website. It was Société Générale Bank, the biggest
Yeah.
French bank. And this job offer was actually in New York.
Mm.
Can you imagine the number of applications for a
Right.
French bank to actually get a job in New York
Right.
with
Right.
all the best benefits you can dream of? This thing got more than 1,000 applications.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, don't ask me why, but I was the one chosen for this job,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
and I think that helped me a lot, kind of
Right.
drive all the rest that happened after,
Yeah.
because I took my luggage. I arrived in New York. Never been in New York in my life. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? Like you're
Yeah.
22, you arrive in New York. You're from Paris. You have your luggage. You see all those big
Oh,
skyscrapers, and you're like, "What? Where am I?"
yeah.
You know,
It's overwhelming for sure.
it is. And my English at the time was so, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
It had it under pressure, and this experience really changed the way I looked at things, basically, because I had a mentor there. I was working closely with an American guy. His name is Fred, and this guy taught me all the things I appreciate the most in a person.
Mm.
What do I mean? The job was a quantitative analyst job. I was doing some pricing model to price the proprietary loan book of the bank, complicated stuff. But I was basically bridging the team between the Paris team and the New York team. And I was in the middle of that. And then you understand the difference in the mentality between the two cultures. The On the New York side, the guy was pushing me to do more, was pushing me to expand, to propose, to actually do more than I was asked.
Right.
On the French side, this thing, doing more than what you are being asked, is actually seen with a bad eye. It's like,
Yeah.
why are you doing more? Like, you are in your box, stay in your box.
All right.
Don't do more.
Right.
So then I realized the difference in terms of culture between the two. And I said, like, okay, I don't want to work in France anymore. That's it. I will never come back. It's
Interesting.
just not for me. I don't fit. I don't fit in the mentality there. I just don't. And I actually never worked in France ever since. You understand?
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
I stayed in New York for 2 years. Then I had to go because my visa expired. And then coming back to France was not an option for me.
Interesting.
So I went to London. It's the
Okay.
closest thing
Yeah, it's
I
like
could
the
find.
New York of Europe, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Even though New York is a lot better.
Tell me, you gotta give me at least one reason why you think New York's better.
Man, the energy is just amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
at the time I was young and single, so maybe you
Yeah,
know
that helped too, right?
that was kind of a different story.
And you have this beautiful French accent, you're a good-looking guy.
Ah, that
You,
helps.
yeah,
That helps.
you are a catch there in New York, man, so, yeah, that had to be amazing.
Okay, to be you want the full story. I met my wife in New York.
Oh,
Okay,
perfect, perfect, yeah,
so
that makes
this
sense, that makes sense.
this city is quite the deal for me.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway,
So
I came
so
to yeah. Sorry.
it was just beautiful, man. Like you went down this path, and what I got from this was really interesting, which is these cultures. But yet, this is why we do what we do, man, because it's so cool. You already talked about like that innate, like when you saw New York, you were excited, you were ready because of the things that your dad did earlier on in life, maybe not inherently knowing it, and then you now tackle by storm. I'm really interested. I didn't realize, and it's I hear this from multiple different places in Europe. I hear a lot of, you're stuck in your box, you're not really pushed to be innovative or think outside that box. But here
Mhm.
people come and they get that skill set and they understand. um Even I have a buddy that married an Italian girl, and back in Italy she could have a beautiful life, right? um Teacher, has everything set up, families there, but she's still here because she believes in that opportunity, that idealistic anybody can make it mentality still. And that's what I heard you got. Does sound right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Basically, in France, you need to move step by step to the top,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what are your performances. People will judge you on the amount of time you stay in a specific place until it's your turn.
Yeah.
So instead of, okay, you're really good, you're making amazing job, so you're gonna grow and you're gonna move up a lot quicker.
Mhm.
You know, this is kind of the differences.
Yeah.
Um, well, I arrived in London and started another job, still in finance. Um, and after a few years, I was like, okay, I've seen Wall Street, I've seen London, I've seen what it is to work in finance. So all those dreams that I had when I was a kid, they are not dreams anymore. I'm living them, and you
Mhm.
know what? I'm not really enjoying them so much. And it's
Interesting.
hard, when you get through this entire path of studying and doing internship and just to get into the right places that you wanted to be. And
Mhm.
you're like, it's not that fun at the end of the day, right? It's actually a little bit boring sometimes. So, so I was just not happy, right?
Yeah.
So and yes, so that's kind of what happens between my university things and my 4, 5, 6 years experience at the
Right.
beginning in traditional finance. That I said, like, okay, I've seen the things I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of different jobs. I was a sales, I was a trader, I was a broker, I was a quant. I did
Yeah.
all the jobs you could potentially uh, think about in finance. I had a very wide understanding of the different jobs in this industry,
Yeah.
and then I stumbled into Bitcoin,
Into crypto.
basically.
So, thank you for that. That was, again, beautiful. We just learned a lot about, you had this experience, you found a place that matched your mentality. In essence, kind of climbed the ladder a little bit here, right? You're doing all the different jobs, you're getting that experience, But the fascinating thing, and I hear this time and time again, and I repeat this time and time again, John, one of the things that we do here that I think is awesome is we get to a lot of the same conclusions, which is you can work hard your entire life, acquire those things that you thought were going to make you happy. And then you get there and you're like, well, this isn't it. And I spent a lot of time doing that. Right. And people get there different ways. But on this show, there's going to be someone from France or someone that had a similar path to you that hasn't had the aha moment. And now they hear you speak and they're like, I really relate to John. And it helps them get that aha moment. So I don't think you realize, but like, sharing this story, I know will already make an impact on at least one person. So everything you've said so far is amazing, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. But I am super excited about the crypto side too. So take us through, let's see, we got about 40 minutes left, which we've been talking for about a half hour. So not 40 minutes. So I'm really, really interested in this path. Think about when we go through this path, think about again, I'm interested in these companies. So let's go through the first company and you finding crypto.
The first company that what? Sorry?
So you started the first company after you found crypto, right?
Yes, yes,
So let's
correct.
take us through that journey.
So, okay. So basically, I was already into crypto.
Mm-hmm.
I remember buying my first Bitcoin in a vaping smoke shop in Shoreditch, London, with some bills. Understand?
That's
that
awesome.
was a different world. Um, and basically, there was this simple idea of, Bitcoin is going to become the money of the world,
Right.
the world reserve currency. And the interesting part is 10 years later, people still believe in it, right? So
Mhm.
even
Mhm.
10 years ago, that was still the original idea, right? So it's not dead, right? It's still obviously moved in the right direction since then.
Right.
And the concept was, okay, one second. If Bitcoin is actually money, you need to have some kind of financial services around
Right.
that will serve certain purposes. And what is the first financial service you think about when you're talking about money is actually a saving account,
Right.
right? A saving account is a way for people to obviously deposit this money into an account and actually get interest for um, those deposits. Very simple concept. The question was, how do you do that in crypto, right? So I don't know if we want to get into all the mechanics of it.
Yeah. 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 Hit me.
So basically, what we did at the time, you need to understand it was very early. Okay, it was a lot earlier than obviously all the bankruptcies that happened in 2022 around
Mhm.
this type of businesses.
Yeah. And that, yeah, what was it 2017, 2018, kind of
What
crashed a little bit too.
what I'm talking about here was 2016. Okay, so the
Okay.
idea was we were the first one to even
Right.
build something like that.
Hmm.
And I always operated with the best and most stringent, um, honesty and um, you know, um, I just
Like morals, like,
yeah,
moral compass. You were doing it ethically, morally,
y-
like you were doing it the right way.
yes, and I believe that's the reason why I'm able to stand in front of you 10 years after in crypto, knowing all the story for the world, all the shit. that happened in that space
Right.
for the past 10 years. um, so that company, I mean, the most important for me was, the interesting part, I think, was it was my first company, right? Like, I was not an entrepreneur. So it's the learning curve to actually do at the same time raising money,
Right.
operations, support, wallet management, legal, accounting, marketing, all those things that you have to do yourself because you have the vision and you have the big picture. And if you don't know how to do something, you don't hire someone to do it for you. You just learn how to do it and you do it. you know,
Mm.
because that's how an entrepreneur needs to operate. Because it's nobody's going to give you 20 or 25 or 30 million dollars just to hire all the people you need to do all the things you want. I mean, that happens, but
Yeah.
it's not how you start.
Right. Right. Right.
And the learning curve for me was quite amazing. Like, this kind of this learning curve of always doing something different
Hmm.
and working toward one goal, because it's like a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
building all those layers, the foundation, where you're going to build on top your product. And if the foundation are not solid, or if one of the things is like this,
Yeah.
then the whole thing is actually fragile. So this learning curve was amazing to me, and I did it with patience
Yeah.
without even knowing where this thing could take me.
I
You know,
love that. Yeah, you said so many beautiful things there, but one of the things that you just said that is so critically important is you did it with patience and you quite didn't know where it was going. One thing before you continue this story, this is awesome. You talked about foundation and building the foundation. Now, I think what you were talking about was just like practically, you need all the pieces and you need to have all the facets, whether it be legal, marketing, et cetera, right? What I'm interested in is you've successfully built a company. You're building multiple companies. In your mind, the real foundation of a company, what is that? Is it product market fit? Is it vision? Is it the employees? Like, what is at the heartbeat foundation of a good company in your mind?
it starts with the founders.
Hmm.
Like, you need to have it. All start with the people.
Hmm.
The people are what makes it or break a company. It doesn't matter if you have the best idea in the world, the best product in the world. People will fuck it up because of ego and because they just want to know better.
Hmm.
So if the association is not something like super, super solid, it doesn't matter what you have in your hands, it will just auto destroy somehow because things will
Yes.
just fizzle out.
Yeah.
So
I love that, man. You I think you nailed it, and I think you said it in a really beautiful way. My follow-up question to you, though, is you also said something very interesting, which was in the beginning, you did it all and you didn't want to hire everybody or anybody. But at some point that breaks, right? And I struggle with this too because I just want to really bootstrap and my
yeah,
podcast side of things, right? And so I do a lot of things. Fortunately, I have a design background, so like editing and stuff I know how to do. What happened in your mind when you're like, "All right, this is a breaking point, man. I need some help." Was there
yeah.
a aha moment or there was just really something you didn't have time for? What did that look like?
So, well, it's a really good question. I mean, sometimes you just work,
Right.
and sometimes one day you wake up and you look behind you and you're like, this is insane. Like,
Yeah.
one guy, two guys are actually handling 60,000 customers. how is it how is it possible? You know,
Yeah.
60,000 people support wallet, and this is crypto. You know, it never sleeps 24/7. Like there
Right.
is a bug, you wake up in the middle of the night.
Right.
Your servers are down.
Yeah.
It's Saturday. You are at the pool with the family. You have to leave and go back home just to
Yeah.
fix the shit.
Yeah.
And then you realize that this life, it's just hard in the long run. You know, it's not reasonable because it impacts everybody else around you
Right. Right.
in
Right.
a bad way,
Right.
and even yourself, because you're gonna break at some point.
Yeah.
So so now I learned, basically I learned over the years that the key hiring hiring people
Mm-hmm.
is probably the most underestimated skill
Mm-hmm.
of a founder. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
ask the founders to be hard work, to have a vision, to know how to sell. But one of the best things the founder should do is know how to hire.
Right.
Um, and I've seen a lot of people doing a lot of mistakes, and that had giant impact, bad impact on the actual organization. Um, and and I think I now have a mindset. Okay, it's my mindset, which is when I hire someone,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna trust that person. I'm gonna trust that person 100% to
Mm-hmm.
do the things the way he thinks is best, because it's not only my baby, it's also his baby, and I want him to express himself in the job he does. And trusting someone obviously comes with responsibilities.
Yeah.
And then as a CEO, this is where at some point you judge the results.
Yeah.
So as a CEO, you need to be accountable. You need to take responsibility for the things you do. So when you choose someone and he doesn't deliver results, and you gave him the space to do it the way he wants to do it, then really the fault is not his, it's yours, because you picked the guy. You understand?
Mm.
So instead of micromanaging people and tell them they don't do things the right way because it's not exactly how you wanted this to be,
Yeah.
I'm taking it the other way around. I'm like, do what you think is best, but bring me results.
Mm.
And if you don't bring me results, it's my mistake that I hired you.
Right.
You know,
And where does the coaching and leadership then come in in that equation though? Like you're not getting the results. Is it a 3 strikes you're out? Is it a 1 strike you're out? Like what is your strategy there to see if maybe they just missed the mark? And because I feel like you can hire the right person, they not deliver results, but they need a little pushing and guidance and they can deliver results. What are your thoughts there?
my thoughts are, I'm hiring someone for skills that I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
If I have the skills that I need, I'm just going to do it myself because it's just
Right.
going to be faster, easier, less friction. So if I hire people for skills that I don't have, then I don't expect them to have to tell them what to do. Obviously, you have guidelines and you have boundaries, and that's obvious, right? But at the end of the day, you have to deliver. If you hire a marketing guy and he has a budget of $100,000 a month to spend, this is kind of a big responsibility.
Yeah.
So if I trust the guy to actually spend that budget, it's more, it's trust, but it's also a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't bring the results that comes with it, then obviously it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So everybody needs to be accountable to the best, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I love your angle. Like I haven't heard this often. This is why we do this is it's on you ultimately. You believe this person that they knew how to effectively spend 100,000 bucks a month. And maybe they're just not the right person to do it. And I like that practical thought of ultimately goes back to you and how to hire. So I don't want to do you a disservice though, because we have had a beautiful conversation already. I thoroughly understand your mindset already, knowing that you have built 2 companies. I mean, we could talk for 6 hours, man. We're gonna definitely have to talk again because you've got so much information and knowledge. It's beautiful. Let's talk about the transition to Promeet, and I wanna dedicate the rest of the time, to ultimately why we're here, which is Promeet, which is a fascinating tool. I'm really excited to talk about it, and I'm excited to, help you, promote it and figure out how we
Yeah,
can collaborate and work together because you gave us a beautiful story. I already believe in who you are as a human being. So now what are you doing? Why Promeet? Let's start with this. What is
sure.
Promeet 2 minutes or less?
Okay. 2 minutes. Okay. So you know what? 2 minutes is already too long. You know why?
Perfect.
Because when you're trying to build a product that's going to be adopted by billions of people,
Yeah,
you don't need 2 minutes.
yeah,
What you really need is one simple ID that talks to everybody. And this simple ID is the following: we let anyone with an internet connection monetize their time in 2 clicks. This is the promise. Okay, no matter where you are in the world, as long as you have an internet connection, you can start making money for sharing your knowledge, your skills, live events, whatever you want, and start earning from that content
yeah.
without any friction.
Love it.
This is the This is the promise.
Yeah, and
Um,
that I think being able to have something concise like that is perfect, right? I get it. Totally makes sense. Problem I think about solving, right? As a creator, I have a vast knowledge on how to start a podcast. I have a vast knowledge on brand and marketing. I even created a masterclass already, but you know what I don't wanna do? I don't want to have to build the infrastructure and update the masterclass 24/7. What I would love to do is create a seminar one time live where people could come in and maybe I could charge for that. Sounds like your platform can solve that problem for me, right?
it does. But I think what is important is the background, is how I got there.
Yeah, and that was my next question is tell me why ProMeet, what led
Right.
you to jumping in full head to ProMeet knowing you have all of this experience and had other companies as well? I'm really interested in that.
Right. So 10 years in the crypto space, three bull and bear cycle, um, 2 companies in the financial industry. Um, Guess what? Nobody built something in 10 years that um, helped the masses solving an actual problem. I mean, okay, you can find thousands of tokens that supposedly do some things, but product market fit is pretty much zero.
Yeah.
Um, Everybody is looking at this industry as a way to get rich by doing investment. Guess what? Investment is specific job, and you need to have the skills to do that. So most are going to be burned out anyway doing this because they cannot manage their emotion. Um, and everybody's taking this small door of creating tokens and playing the speculation game. But what I told you was 10 years ago, what blew my mind was really the peer-to-peer instant transfer capabilities of an apolitical, neutral blockchain layer that anyone can use. That was kind of the promise, the original
Right.
promise.
Right. Right.
And this was kind of the haha moment for me, because when I wanted to say, okay, what I'm going to do next, I'm going to do another financial services company.
Mhm.
Life is can be different, bigger than that.
Right.
No, let's try to build something that have an impact to the masses, to mainstream. Let's try to help people. Let's try to
Right.
help people making money. Let's try to give them a tool that let them earn on their terms. Let's empower them. Let's give them the freedom. Let's give them something that is simple to use. And let's try.
Yeah.
Let's stop doing some 99% of the Web3 application are for trader or people
Yeah.
that understand the Web3 space and
Yeah.
or the blockchain technology, or they need to get gas fees to be able to use stuff. It's not gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
The promise of blockchain is so much bigger than that. So yeah, that's how everything started. It's like, let's try to do something that is simple, different, but can also has a chance to be adopted by billions of people.
That's beautiful. You said it in a beautiful way. And I say it, I actually have a really interesting idea too about how we can effectively use community for advertising and marketing. And I'd love to talk to you offline about it, but blockchain in the sense of how do you do rewards and how do you uh, engage communities in a productive manner. And I firmly believe the same way. I've stayed in here. I actually suck at investing. I'm not even interested in investing. Most people are here because they want to become millionaires overnight. But I see, like you, the power of blockchain, and I have melded it and merged it up with what my passion is what we're doing right now. I absolutely love what we're doing right now. It's fascinating to me. Like your knowledge today just made me a better person. So I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, man.
Let's talk about this concept because people need to hear this more. Blockchain can fundamentally solve other problems than just investing in the next shit coin or believing some NFT is going to make you a millionaire overnight. So let's talk about. I understand. I fully understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to help people monetize their time, which I believe, and this is a universal problem to solve, which is beautiful. Time, as you get older, as you know, is the most valuable currency you have, right? And so
Let's
if
get
you
into this. Yeah.
know that you're effectively helping out, let's figure out how to monetize that. So take us down this beautiful path of Promeet, man. I'm fully in understanding what you're doing.
Okay. We refer to blockchain way too often as a solution looking for a problem. So for once, what I'm going to try to do is to start with the problem. We live in a world that is more and more digitally connected. We live in a world post-COVID where doing business online through video conferences or live streaming became a thing.
Right.
The definition of success if in 2025 is not the same the definition of success in 1980s.
Right.
50 years ago, the goal was to stay in a company and get to the top of it, and maybe you're going to work for one or two companies top, right?
Right.
Then you get into the 2020s where people can just jump from company to company. But if you look at the Gen Z generation, the next generation coming up,
Yep.
the definition of success to them is to be able to be their own boss and to
Yes.
drive cash flows and revenue by themselves for them.
Yes.
And then you have the coming of all those influencers and people, the only fan girls and whatnot,
Yeah.
webinars, all those things that were not existing even 10
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
so,
there is, yeah.
oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, so I'm just saying we are tackling a market that not only is growing, but doesn't have the capacities to monetize the right way, the proper way, the easy way. because it faces the friction of the traditional banking system.
Yeah. And that is currency exchange rates, not being able to pay people from different parts of the world because, you know, it's it's really cool. One of the I think the most beautiful products of Web3 and blockchain is it's for the first time I was forced to just really communicate with people throughout the world, right? And then there's that friction, like you said, of how do we pay? And there's already like my head wants to explode thinking about me getting paid in crypto and then me putting it in my bank account. Like it's such a disaster, right? But you're fundamentally solving that problem. So take us through how the platform actually works.
Sure.
And you could share your screen actually on this if you wanna do that, or
Yeah.
you can just take us verbally. It's totally fine. It's whatever you wanna do.
Let's start verbally and then let's see if it makes sense to show it.
Yeah, well, you know what we do? Let's just go through it verbally, and we can set some other time up to maybe do a cool video together, about physically how it works, you know?
Yeah, I think it could be cool, but it's so easy to use, to be honest. So I mean, verbally, I just want to touch on the benefits compared to traditional solution. And I also want to touch on the breakthrough also in the Web3 space itself for the people that understand it. Okay.
Right.
So, like I said, anyone in the world with no understanding of blockchain technology can actually use Promeet and start monetizing his time in less than 2 clicks.
Right.
What does it entail? Like, first of all, we are solving a lot of problems. The first problem is delayed gratification. So, when you are getting paid by centralized platforms, usually you're going to get paid at the end of the month or once every 2 weeks, something like that. And obviously you have limitation, you have minimum, you have a lot of basically friction before you actually start seeing the money in your bank.
Yeah.
With Promeet, when you do a paid event, you get paid instantly. Like when you hang up the meeting, you actually see the money coming into your wallet in an instant fashion. Okay, so there is no more anymore, oh, where is my money, when I should get it, check the FAQ. So this kind of instant gratification is actually one of the big advantages of the product. The second advantage of the product is it's obviously truly cross-border because we're using blockchain rails and only wallets, and all the payments are happening peer-to-peer. This thing is truly cross-border. There is no geographical limitation whatsoever to actually start monetize an audience that is also truly global.
Yeah.
The third advantage is because we are using, again, a blockchain layer, which is highly resilient and transparent. We can actually scale without having to reconcile payments, having a finance team of 20 people. So the fees that the platform takes is going to be a lot lower than anything you're going to be able to experience on traditional platforms. So usually platforms take between 25, 30 to 40% of what you actually make. I'm not even discussing about, YouTube platform that asks you to have at least 100,000 views, and that's going to pay you according to their terms without even knowing how much they are making, right? Because let's be honest, all those platforms are making so much money on people's back because the people are actually the one producing the content, and those platforms are actually the ones selling advertising. So they can actually enjoy the people that you managed to bring to them. And this is fucked up because the mechanics and the economics behind how things works today do not favor the creators. And people need education because it feels okay to them. You know why? Oh, I'm a YouTuber. Oh, it sounds cool. I'm a YouTuber. Yeah, great for you, man. How much you make? Yeah, not a lot. You can do a lot more. You drive traffic, you have followers, you drive views.
Yes.
And YouTube is paying you basically cents on a dollar.
Yes. Yes.
And this is what we need to break, because that
Yes.
system does not favor people.
Right.
And what Promeet is about in terms of values, again, it's just a tool. You can use it the way you want. It empowers you. You can make money under your terms. You can decide the price. You can decide when. You can decide how. You can decide who. And this is basically the tool where you can make money from the people that follow you and agree to what you say or whatever. Basically, you don't need 100,000 likes. What you really need is 20 people that are willing to pay for your content. That's
I
what you need.
love it. I love it.
know?
So that's at the age-old principle. What, 1,000 rabid fans, you can do whatever you want, right? Keep on going. I feel the passion. You're getting me excited.
It's one of the things that really strikes me as well, and it's like Twitch. Twitch. This is the biggest streaming platform owned by Amazon.
They rob creators, man. They take a lot of money from them.
It's so sad, because Twitch offer contract to do streamers. You know what they tell them? They tell them, dude, come work for me. You have to stream 8 hours a day. I'm going to pay you $15 an hour. You have to do that every day. And when you sign that, you have an exclusivity. Obviously, you cannot go anywhere else. And for that, I'm going to pay you $15 an hour.
Right.
The guy is driving millions of views and have a lot of followers, and is getting paid the same like Starbucks barista, which is a great job. Don't get me wrong, but you get my point.
Yeah.
You deserve so much more.
Right.
Because you become the slave. You could become the slave of you become the employee of Twitch. So what did you do?
Right.
Your dream was to produce content, to be followed, to enjoy your passion, and you end up an employee of $1 billion firm paying you $15 an hour.
Yep. It's ridiculous.
So go work for yourself. Go work for yourself. This is why Web3 is about. Web3 is about an open network where you can actually exchange value, and you don't need to ask for permission.
Right.
You can do whatever you want. You can charge whatever you want, as long as you have people willing to pay for what you do. Right. And this is kind of a promise. This kind of a promise that Promeet is trying to do.
Yeah.
Is to give this tool to people, and let's see what people are going to do with it. One thing I want to add about Promeet, because I feel it's important. The thing about centralized platform and what they tried to actually solve, except for the fact that they fucked up the economics, because now they brought the advertising into the picture, which kind of make everything a little bit clunky, because there are too many parties in this economy. One of the things they actually did is to be able to centralize the trust, right? So people pay the platform, and the platform pay the creators. So that creates friction, that creates a lot of fees and so on. What Promeet does, Promeet creates a trustless environment to monetize your time from people that you don't necessarily know. You understand what I mean? Like, the thing is, when you start a room and someone join your event, because those people need to top up their account before they can actually join the room, you create a trustless environment where the guy doing the event knows he's going to get paid, and the guy joining the event knows he's going to pay. And this is happening in real time. And then you don't have to trust anybody, because if you look at how payment is happening today, is like, okay, should I pay in advance or should I pay after? If I pay in advance, I'm not sure what I'm going to get, or if the guy's going to show up. If I pay after, then the host needs to run after his money, which is annoying, right? So Promeet create a trustless environment where you don't have to even discuss those questions anymore,
Right.
right?
Right.
You just have to concentrate about what you do and the value you bring. All the money consideration are outsourced to a decentralized system that makes things transparent and fair for everybody.
Perfect. Dude, it's amazing. I do have a hard stop in less than 10 minutes. I feel the passion. I love the solution. What I like to do is ask one final question, and then we can do our closing comments. But before we get there, I'm gonna leave it up to you on how you first off, what percentage do you take from the creator? You obviously have to make money somehow. So what does that look like?
There is no subscription on Promeet. We are anti-subscription. We don't want people to pay for subscription for a product that they don't necessarily use. We believe that it rips off everybody, right?
Right.
So what do? Is our business model is we take 5% of the income made by the host of the room,
Right.
and this creates a win-win thing, because if you make money, we make money, and that's how
Right.
we operate.
Yeah, and the creator keep 95% of the revenue, which is unheard of, right? And then
Yeah,
the last thing feature that you said that I thought was really interesting is just give me the plethora of ways you can monetize your time, because I know you can even you can
sure.
do the very amount of ways. So take me
Yeah,
through the suite of that.
of course. So I told you about the simplicity of the product, which was kind of the number one thing that we try to do. But simplicity, people think there is a trade-off between simplicity and power in terms of how rich the application is. But that's
Right.
wrong, because the sweet spot is having something simple and very powerful. So why Promeet is also very powerful? Promeet allows you to do video conferences like Zoom, to do streaming like YouTube Live or Twitch,
Or like
um,
this.
or no. Yes. I mean, no, this is a video conference that you broadcast. It's a little bit,
Uh, right, right,
little
right,
bit
right.
different. The streaming is if you want to do a concert of I don't know, Beyonce. She
Yeah.
wants to do a concert in his in
Yep.
her living
Yep.
room, and she wants to
Yeah.
start share the room and say, guys, it's $5. I want to do a concert right now in my
Right.
living room. I
Right.
don't care. It's
Done.
$5. Let's
Yeah.
do it. So you have the two options. Just a toggle button, and you can do both. And then the way you can monetize, obviously, you can do free events and you can receive tips, because everybody has access to a wallet, and everybody can send money to everybody. I think it's fun. So you can do free events, or you can do paid events. And for paid events, you have basically two options. One, you can do a fixed entry price. Okay, it's not a ticket that you buy in advance. It's just to enter the room. At the time you enter the room, you need to pay a fixed price: $1,
Right.
$5, $10, $100. The host decide. Or the second option we have is a pay-as-you-go model. So it's a price per hour. So you only pay for what you watch. What does it mean? If someone wants to charge $20 per hour, and someone join basically the event, and they watch for 30 minutes, and then for whatever reason they need to go, then they will only pay for half basically of the hour.
Right.
So every second counts. So
Yeah.
you only pay per second, basically, which remove a lot of barriers to
Mhm.
actually get people to try
Right.
what you have to say and your
Right.
content.
Right.
So and and like I said, we remove the friction. So there is
Yeah.
no onboarding process whatsoever. There is no sign up process. There is no verification process. You can just start a paid room and share it to your friends, audience, fan, follower, client, community, customers, you name it, and
Yeah.
you can start earning money right away.
Yeah.
As long as people are willing to pay for what you have to
Yeah.
say.
And what's beautiful, you've taken me through the platform, is you don't even need to sign up for an account. Like you can just log in as a guest and start paying people like immediately. And it creates the
That's
wallet on the back end. You can use your traditional payment methods. It's so clean, it's so simple, and it's freaking exciting for somebody like me. Like I can't wait to keep on working and growing together. It's incredible.
so yeah. The last word I would say was, we refer to Web3 as a way to connect a wallet. The thing is, just creating a wallet is already a steps and a friction point to adoption. So it's not going to be it's not going to be easy for people to actually go over this. And we basically remove that friction because you can just use Promeet the same way as you browse a news site, for example.
Right. I love it. So let's do this, man. I am like a minute away from my stop, but I don't want to cut this off in a minute. I want to do this. I have one question for, well, one, I'll give you a minute to say, what does the next 6 to 12 months look like for ProMe? You just looking to expand the platform, really start getting creators to utilize the platform. What does that look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the platform is ready to go. Basically, it's working. We are raising a seed round right now. We are going to market. Everything is going to go into marketing. We are here to get adoption. Last I checked today, we had 3,000 people visiting the platform, which I think is amazing. And we're gonna go for that adoption basically.
Right.
And we have amazing ideas how we can take this to the next level.
Yeah.
But I think the platform is mature enough today to get already a significant level of adoption, and we're not gonna push the trigger before we have that. So it's all about now marketing and bringing people, bringing hosts, bringing influencers, and hopefully get validation from the market. So
I love it.
Looking forward to that.
And I think that makes sense. And I cannot wait to continue to talk, man. I mean, this is my last question, and then we'll close it out and call it a day. You have seen live streaming, I'm sure. You've listened to podcasts. You might have even been on a podcast. You've probably been in X Spaces. You just went through the Mikey G Midlife Crisis podcast experience. Hit me with your review. Hit me with your thoughts. I love to hear, good or bad, man.
I feel very relaxed compared to the other podcasts I've done in the past. I think I listen. I loved it. Like it was almost like a 1 hour psychological session. And it feels good, man, because at the end of the day, you grind a lot, and sometimes it's just good to talk. Good to talk, just simple questions and just let the words flow. And I mean, thank you for that. I think it was helpful to me.
Dude, thank you so much, because you just said what my mission statement is, right? And that is to share the love and joy of life, but ultimately genuinely human connection. Because it's so bizarre to me. The more connected we get, the more disconnected we are as humans, right? And even though we have these platforms to do, nobody does what we just did. Like, I understand you more as a human than people have talking to someone in Discord for 6 months, right? Because they don't even hop on the phone and just have a genuine conversation. So and you made my job easy, man. I'll say my closing comments, and I didn't really got to hop off. You made my job easy today, because you were relaxed. I could tell it. I got you prepped that it was going to be an awesome, beautiful thing, which it was. But the knowledge that you shared, I am confident anybody that watches this is going to take a piece of good information from it. So thank you, because you made my job easy too. I can tell you're a genuine human. What was really cool to see is you chased what we think is the wrong things, came to that epiphany, and now you've created a simplistic product to solve a universal problem, and you're insanely passionate about it. And that is such a critical point. So I really want to close it off with just saying thank you for being you, man. I mean, it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. And I really want to figure out how to help you out, use our brands together, grow, and just become deeper friends. So thank you so much, man.
Let's do it. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. And with that being said, Mikey G and the Midlife Crisis Podcast, and John, the legend of Promeet CEO, We are out. Pay attention to the Twitter for the rest of the content coming up for the week. John, just stay a minute after I end this so we can chat and close it out. I love you all. Mikey G, Midlife Crisis Podcast, and John are out.